Welcome everyone to Monday Morning Morons for July 1st, 2019. This week, let's begin with a little ignorance and hypocrisy mixed with some good old-fashioned partisan politics. What are the chances that if partisan gerrymandering were a democratic technique that had generated counter-majority Democratic political advantage, the Republicans on the court would have rendered this decision? White House is a Democratic senator from Rhode Island, first elected in 2007. Before that, he was a U.S. attorney and attorney general for Rhode Island. So he's not new to the game, he's been around for a while. Now, why is this tweet worth mentioning? Well, what he's referring to is this. The Supreme Court just handed Republicans a huge political victory on partisan gerrymandering. You can see CNN is doing it too. Pretty much what I've come to expect from Chris, actually. Waggle that naughty finger at the dirty, rotten, cheating Republicans because, news agency, journalism, and all that. Now, before I point and laugh at the morons here, let me clarify my own position on this first. I am not going to pretend that I agree with the Supreme Court on this one. I don't. But what they decided was that they simply do not have the authority to step in and settle what they characterized as more or less partisan political bitch fights. On that, they are correct. They don't have that authority. However, I disagree that is what this case was. The root of this case is far more than just, "Wah, they cheated." It's about voters and whether or not those voters' votes actually count. So I think the Supremes could have the authority, they simply chose not to. I don't like that. It seems like a cop-out. Anyway, for Senator Whitehouse here, he thinks this is just a Republican tactic and insinuates that the justices would have decided differently if it were a Democratic tactic. Well, Senator, for an attorney, I'm surprised you can't read. Right there, in the case. Voters and other plaintiffs in North Carolina and Maryland filed suits challenging their state's congressional districting maps as unconstitutional partisan gerrymanders. The North Carolina plaintiffs claim that the state's districting plan discriminated against Democrats, while the Maryland plaintiffs claim that their state's plan discriminated against Republicans. In other words, Sheldon, both parties are guilty of the same shit. I mean, didn't even have to read very far to find it. It was right at the beginning of the decision, Sheldon. Took me all of about 10 seconds of research to figure that out. So to answer your question, how would the justices decide if this were a Democratic tactic? Exactly the same, because it is a Democrat tactic. Congratulations, Senator. In your mad rush to score some political partisan points and waggle your finger at evil Republicans, all you've really managed to do is make yourself look like a moron who can't read. Now, while we're on the subject of shitty partisan lies, may as well take a moment to point out another, this time from a righty. Not one American flag to be found at the Democratic debate. Oh my God, no American flags! They hate America! Every patriot should be outraged, I tell ya! Now, Democrats may hate America, but you don't do yourself any favors when you're so desperate to nitpick that you become blind to reality either. Here's that American flag you couldn't find, Mike. I know, it's pretty hard to see when it takes up the entire background. Look, as anyone who watches this channel regularly knows, I'm no fan of the current Democrats, socialists, and butthurt, whiny identity politics crowd either. I think many of them do, in fact, hate this country and very much wish to destroy it in their misguided notions that they know what's best, we're all ignorant bigots, and they will make it all better. Or better for themselves, perhaps, but sure as shit not better for the rest of us. But I'm not a partisan Republican either. I have plenty of issues with them as well. I don't get a chance to talk about that much because, frankly, the loud and obnoxious Looney Tunes on the left right now dominate the culture and drown out most of the stupid shit the morons on the right have to say. However, if you're going to smack these twats for being, well, twats, let's kindly stick to real shit, they say and do, huh? Plenty of examples to pull from and criticize them for. You don't need to make shit up. You don't aid your cause when you do that, you just look like a liar. Manufacturing outrage over imaginary slights is the current platform of the lunatic left. Please stop trying to copy that tactic. If you want to point out that some of these Democrats hate America, you don't need to invent anything. They're quite proud to tell you that. Just quote them. Now then, let's move on to something else. No, Bob. Unfortunately, I really can't address what was said at the debates right now. It's not that I don't care or that it's not important, because it is, but here's the problem I have at the moment. I didn't actually watch the debates. I know, you're all disappointed in me. No, seriously, I was just busy on both nights and forgot what time they started, so I didn't notice they were on until they were almost over. I've only seen clips and some quote mining for news articles so far, and I don't trust any of that on its own to be fair representation of what actually happened. Hopefully I can find time this week or something to watch the whole thing somewhere. Until then, I'm not going to make any attempt at serious analysis or comments or anything. I may still snark a bit here and there at dumb shit that was said, but that's about it for now. I can't be fair until I actually watch it, so let's move on to something else. I guess while we're on the subject of lying, this one fits, and it's also sort of a follow-up from last week about the dangers of public education these days. Let's see what they're teaching your kids at the public library, shall we? Undercover moms expose graphic teen pride public library event, then get doxxed by Antifa. Kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Exactly what is it they're teaching kids in there that Antifa doesn't want anyone to know about? If they're proud of these events, why threaten people who are just recording it and sharing it with other people? Curious, isn't it? I mean, you know Antifa's rhetoric by now. So desperate to fight the fascists that they've decided everyone is a fascist. So they run around and call everyone a bigot of one kind or another in order to pretend they're standing up for the rights of the people by squashing the rights of the people. They're not exactly the sharpest tools in the shed. Not sure if the black masks are cutting off oxygen to their brains or if initiation involves a frontal lobotomy, but let's see. What did these dangerous, horrible mothers do that got Antifa's pantyhose all in a bunch? Two concerned mothers who attended a recent teen pride celebration at a public library in Renton, Washington, told the College Fix that they have now been doxxed for their efforts to expose the event, which included a graphic dance by a drag queen and the distribution of other adult sex and gender materials. Asking their names not be published out of fear for their safety, as some of their birthdays and addresses have already made the rounds on social media, the two concerned moms said in interviews on Monday that they attended the June 22nd event because they were upset at the programming and wanted to shine a light on it. They said although library officials promised it would be family-friendly, it was anything but that. Well, that sounds about right for these so-called pride events. Most have devolved into anything but pride anymore. They've more or less been taken over by exhibitionists getting their rocks off by promoting the most outlandish sexual deviancy they can think of and get away with in public. I mean, a bunch of gay people walking down the street waving rainbow flags and saying, "Here I am, I'm gay." Yeah, fine, good for you, I really don't care. I don't really understand why you feel that's necessary, but whatever. You're not hurting anyone, so I don't really care. But a bunch of BDSM fans running down the street in gimp masks with whips and chains and pet humans crawling around on leashes? That's not about gay pride. That's about, hey, look at me. Look what I do to get off. Yeah, keep that shit to yourself. We don't care and we don't want to see it. The women and some of their allies attending the event in a somewhat undercover capacity were able to capture on film a large amount of the Pride festivities at the Renton Public Library, including the graphic performance of a drag queen, before police were called to escort some of the moms out. In the performance, the drag queen was seen removing a skirt at the start and then dancing in scantily clad clothing to the tune of the song Like a Girl. The drag queen sang in part, "If you feel like a girl, then you reel like a girl. Do your thing, run the whole damn world." The song ended with various expletives. I am not going to show you the accompanying video. If you're that curious, by all means, follow the link and watch it for yourself. I don't want to see it. But curious, isn't it? These moms standing around filming what's happening in a public library are forced to leave for some reason. While the dancing, prancing, apparently vulgar, sexually explicit, and foul language crowd are not only allowed to stay, but protected by the police. Are you sure you're the oppressed ones here? I witnessed kids in that show and in the following panel that couldn't have been more than 10, one of the moms told The Fix. In their main video, parents, teenagers, tweens, children, and even kids in strollers can be seen at the library event. Footage showed the distribution of lube, dental dams, and flavored condoms. One pamphlet stated, "Abuse is not S&M." Pictures also showed sex pamphlets in the shape of male genitalia. Salim Juma, an independent journalist, obtained a close-up of the freebies handed out at the event. One of them is in the shape of a penis and reads, in part, "Reducing sexual risk is the easiest way to prevent your Moby Dick from exhibiting 50 Shades of Grey. We want you to be the lord of unzipping flies, but don't let an STI catch you by surprise." Well, those are appropriate gifts for kids. One of the moms told The Fix that she saw young people at the event under the age of 18 who were not accompanied by adults, despite a library official saying that would not be allowed. Meanwhile, another mom added that Planned Parenthood representatives there spoke about its gender reformation services that involve giving testosterone and progesterone to young people, and they were hoping to offer them to children under 18 without parental consent. The event also boasted gift cards for breast binders, one of the tools that many transgender men use to attempt to make their bodies more into traditional masculine shape. Well now, what could possibly be the problem with that? I mean, we let kids watch porn, don't we? Oh, right. We don't. Seems odd now that I think about it, though. I mean, if kids can go sit in the burlesque show of sexually explicit propaganda and get free condoms and paper dicks to play with, why bother blocking them from porn or strip clubs or whorehouses? Shit, why not let them work in those places too, huh? Oh yeah, because they're fucking kids, freaks. Enough with this shit already. You're not fucking fooling us anymore with your inclusion pitch and your equality rhetoric. All you're doing is grooming kids. And you can call me bigot or transphobe or homophobe or Nazi all you want, but you are never going to shame me into accepting that it's okay to groom kids for pedophiles. At around 5 p.m., event organizers began to forcibly remove parents who did not have teens with them, the mom said. Why? Rather curious, isn't it? Adults being forced to leave a public library while underage kids without their parents, who were not supposed to be admitted in the first place, are allowed to stay. Huh. I wonder what's going on in there. Lynn Meager, an attendee at the event, tells PJ Media that while she was being removed by the police, she said, "I am staying here and I am documenting this. If they're not doing anything wrong, they should not be ashamed." 2 officers then grabbed my arms and pulled me out of my chair and pushed me out of the library. Video of police escorting moms out was posted on Twitter. And here, the poor, helpless, oppressed victims of the white, cis-het capitalist patriarchy get the state to forcibly remove people, because they are the oppressed ones. Now, I've blacked out the name. I realize how silly that is, considering it's already public, but I don't feel comfortable helping these assholes dox these ladies. Now, I can't remove it from Twitter because I don't run that site. But isn't it odd that Twitter still hasn't removed any of this shit? These posts are a clear violation of their rules. Doxing? Yep. Incitement to harass people? Yep. Suspended accounts? Nope. Didn't even remove the posts. Anyone still want to tell me that Twitter applies its rules fairly? After the concerned mom's video of the event was posted, Emerald City Antifa began to dox the women, tweeting, "To reiterate today, we had 2 queerphobic adults filming kids going in and out of bathrooms at Teen Pride event at Renton Public Library. We'll post link in thread. Please help us identify these pervs." Well, that's an interesting characterization of what happened, don't you think? They weren't filming kids going in and out of bathrooms. They were filming the fucking presentation put on at the damn Pride event. They are not the pervs here, Super Genius, and you know it. You're lying, Antifa. I mean, no one's really surprised at that, but still, I thought I'd mention it anyway. Commenters began to verify one of the women's date of birth and address. When we went out to the parking lot, we're standing there talking, and this man was photographing us. He started yelling at us and filming us, and he said, "I'm putting your picture on Twitter. I'm filming your license plate. I'm going to make sure everyone knows who you are, you hateful bigot." And then we were surrounded, and there were 4 men filming us, and they are kind of circling us like wolves, one of the moms told the Fix. "We who have good intentions to protect our children from this indoctrination have become the enemy," one of the moms told the Fix. Yep, you sure have. Welcome to 1984, ladies. These days, apparently you help kids by grooming them for the pedos and fucking up their minds to make yourself feel better. And the people opposed to that are the bigots now. Man, really having a hard time narrowing it down. There's just so much shit this week. How about a little irony? Nonviolent advocacy group hijacks school board meetings, attacks people who disagree. Same shit, different day, huh? A Wisconsin advocacy group is taking what a local paper dubs an in-your-face approach to school-related issues, which includes raucous disruptions of school board meetings and intimidating those with whom they disagree. So, pretty much the same approach as the rest of these far-left social justice groups. One of Freedom Inc.'s big pet peeves is police, student resource officers, or SROs, stationed in schools. Last month's Madison School Board meeting was typical for the group, featuring liberal use of profanity, according to the Wisconsin State Journal. Freedom Inc.'s Community Power Building coordinator, I can't pronounce that, demanded that SROs be taken out of schools, proclaiming that anyone who calls something uses the police on children when there's that, like, unbalanced power dynamic, hold that. I'm sorry, but what? Anyone who calls uses the police on children when there's that, like, unbalanced power dynamic, hold their asses accountable. How exactly am I supposed to address that? I can't argue with it. It's not an argument. Hell, it barely qualifies as a sentence. It's like you had this thought in your head, and you opened your mouth to say it, but right in the middle of talking, your programming just randomly shot out a buzzword you've heard, and then you finished an entirely different sentence. So, yeah, I don't really know what to say here. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, I guess. She also said radical queer black feminism has the answer to, presumably, the district school's ills. I'm sure it does. And I can't wait to hear them. When, whatever her name is, allotted time to speak was up, she wasn't having any of it. I don't give a damn about your timer. How about the other people in the room? Do they get a chance to speak, or is it just you? Because, that's what the timer is about. To allow everyone a chance to speak. Last year, at an SRO-related meeting, Freedom Inc.'s Young Justice Coordinator grabbed the cell phone of an SRO supporter and smashed it on the ground. Though its website mentions things like an anti-violence Black Lives Matter program, Freedom Inc. refuses to abide by what they disdainfully refer to as respectable politics, and this represents a bit of a challenge for ultra-liberal Madison. Seen this sort of thing before. You folks should spend a couple of seconds looking up those words in a dictionary because clearly they don't mean what you think they mean. Martin Luther King was a respectable man and a respectable activist, and he accomplished more than any of you ass clowns are going to. You're not winning people over. You're just pissing people off. Lauren Bastion, a Freedom Inc. donor, said that while their actions at the school board meeting are an important part of their work, it also exists in a broader context of Freedom Inc.'s goal and years of direct service. As for its approach to political advocacy, Bastion said, in every major modern social movement, locally and globally, asking without causing disruption has been ineffective. Active disruption, in every single case, was necessary to end violence and shift towards justice. For Freedom Inc., the movement includes the unwavering belief that the presence of police officers in schools contributes to the so-called schools-to-prison pipeline, and as evidence notes that blacks are more likely to be disciplined in school and arrested later in life, trends that are present across the United States. In other words, they see a stat they don't like and make up a reason that stat must be someone else's fault. Like I said, same shit, different day. Freedom Inc.'s alternatives to stationing police officers in schools and building a new jail are not fleshed out in detail. Well, there's a fucking surprise. They never are. These people are professional whiners. They don't have solutions. But in general, call for spending more money on services for youth and people of color, and for turning control of school discipline and the police over to the community. Give us money and mob justice. That's what you just said. That's your big fix, huh? What a great idea. What could possibly go wrong with that? Former Madison School Board President Mary Burke said that while she applauds the group's social justice mission, its tactics prevent the constructive dialogue needed for sustainable change. She added that she's spoken with black students who want RSOs in their building for safety purposes, but they're afraid of being bullied and labeled racist. Irrelevant, Mary. They aren't interested in constructive conversations or solutions. They just want you to bend over and kiss their ass. And as soon as you do, they'll demand you kiss the other cheek too. These people will never be happy with any solution to anything. They can't be. Bitching, whining, and blaming everyone else is at the very core of their person now. Without constant injections of outrage, they'd probably just keel over and spontaneously die. They're broken, and since they control the mental health field too, there is no help to fix them. Okay, let's see. We've got the same issue with toxic masculinity this week. Bob showed me a mountain of links to look at this time. Must have been an exceptionally toxic week. So which one did you pick, Bob? New Jersey mom suffocated toddler because he was an obstacle to extramarital affair. A New Jersey mom suffocated her toddler son last year because she felt he was getting in the way of her extramarital affair, prosecutors said Wednesday. The heinous allegation was made Wednesday during a detention hearing for 41-year-old Heather Reynolds, the mother charged with murder and child endangerment in her son's May 2018 death. Camden County prosecutors said Reynolds suffocated her 17-month-old son, Axel, by holding a cleansing wipe over his nose and mouth. Her attorney said Reynolds had nothing to do with the death. Reynolds ran from her Gloucester Township home the morning of May 10th, holding an unresponsive child in her arms, and screamed for help from neighbors. Emergency crews found the boy on the lawn of his family's home. Assistant prosecutor Peter Gallagher said the boy had bruises around his mouth and nose. Reynolds told EMTs her son may have drunk something poisonous, Gallagher said. She changed her story when an EMT noted that her son had clearly been dead much longer, he added. Witnesses told police that Reynolds had taken methamphetamine the night before and into the morning, Gallagher said. The allegation was confirmed after residue was found in her purse, he added. A review of her text messages revealed she was having an extramarital affair while her husband was out of state on business, NJ.com reported. Witnesses also told detectives that the defendant had expressed the sentiment that her toddler son, the victim, was an obstacle to her relationship with her boyfriend. A judge ruled that Reynolds will remain in jail until her trial, noting she faces a possible life sentence. Well, you know who's at fault here, right? Society. Our damn patriarchal society, holding good women back by expecting married women with children, should actually give a shit about those children and their marital vows. I mean, if her husband, boyfriend, and of course her 17-month-old son would have just let her run around, bang anyone and everyone she wants to, do as much meth as she likes, and take care of themselves, then she wouldn't have had to cheat on her husband and wouldn't have been pressured by patriarchal norms to kill her kid because she wanted more time with her boyfriend. Okay. This isn't funny haha like usual, but seriously, I absolutely could not let this go by without comment. It is just that fucking stupid. Cornell Summer Seminar asks, should we still use concepts like rationality and reason? How does a person even ask such a question? Should we just stop thinking? No, you fucking idiot. No, we shouldn't. Although clearly you haven't started yet. Give that a try first, huh? That's it for this week. Remember the social justice mantra: women are victims, men are oppressors, and feminism is just about equality. I'll see you all next time.